Welcome to Retirement Wealth Planning with Dave Mortosh. Dave's been helping people in the Cleveland-Akron area for over 15 years. People just like you. Dave helps keep people's money safe. Now, here's the host of Retirement Wealth Planning, Dave Mortosh.
Again, good morning. This is Dave Mortosh and the Retirement Wealth Planning Radio Show. And of course, I'm here with my great co-host, Michelle.
Yes, welcome to Retirement Wealth Planning with Dave Mortosh. I'm Michelle Wright. Let me give you our phone number. It's 877-GAINS-4U. That's 877, the word GAINS, the number 4, the letter U. The website, mortoshfinancial.com. That's M as in Mandy, O-R-T-A-C-H. financial.com. And you know what? Today is the day. We have been talking about this and very excited for some weeks. But before we get to what I'm talking about, but I'm sure everybody knows, I want to say hello to you, Dave. How you doing today?
Hey, good morning to everybody. And don't mind that snow on the ground. It's okay. We've got a great interview to get to here very shortly.
We absolutely do. And before we, you know what? Why don't we just get to it now? And let me introduce Patrick Kelly, a great friend to our show, a national best-selling author. And Patrick, we are just super excited to have you on Retirement Wealth Planning with Dave Mortosh here today.
Well, thank you both. I'm excited to be here as well.
So we've got some questions that we want to ask you. And Patrick, as everybody has heard, we do get a lot of what you say about the tools and strategies that Dave really uses. But I wanted to ask, you are an author. You've written 3 books that, are just fantastic when it comes to explaining the tools and strategies. The latest is entitled Stress-Free Retirement. But I wanted to ask, as an author, what made you want to focus on retirement strategies?
It really comes out of my own practice as a professional for, 20 some years in this industry. If you go way back to my first book, Tax-Free Retirement, that was published, I think it was 2007. Before that, I wrote my first book actually as a manuscript to be able to hand to my own clients, because as I would share the concepts, many of the, really same concepts that Dave is sharing, Dave, with your clients, they would ask me questions and I'd say, and I'd answer, and they say, well, is there something I can read on that or something? And so I went to the library, I went to the bookstore, and there literally was nothing that explained at all, let alone simply explained how these strategies and, plans could work for individuals. Now, I'll give you a little other insight. I was a writing major in college, so I always had planned to write some books, but I did not think they would be financial books. But when I was sort of at that crossroads, I said, why don't I take what I love to do personally and marry it with what I do professionally? And honestly, had no idea it would turn into what it has turned into today. But it really was born out of need because, Dave, I'm sure you get the same questions I get, is that, how can that be? Or, tell me more about that. And just a book allows them to go home and in the comfort of their own home, at their own pace, dig into something and really understand what it is that we're saying.
Yes, Patrick, that's exactly. You are correct. I hear that all the time. And that's where your book comes into play in a perfect way. Stress-Free Retirement. For anybody that's listening today, by the way, if you call us and set an appointment, we will be giving you a copy of Patrick's great book, Stress-Free Retirement. And I've got another great question for Patrick. What's the biggest thing you've heard from people who read your books? What do you hope people will get from reading them?
Well, the first question, I would say it probably depends a little bit on the book, but the one consistent thing through all 3 books, because they talk about different strategies, is, man, I wish I knew this 10 years ago. Or, man, I wish I knew this when I was in my 30s. Matter of fact, a quick story. My dad was one of the very first people to read my manuscript of Tax-Free Retirement, and I wanted his opinion. And he's not a super high praise kind of guy. And so when he finished it very quickly, and we called him, and he said, here is exactly what he said. He said, Patrick, well done, but is it too late for me? And in that particular strategy, he was already retired. And that one, the Stress-Free Retirement, would have been perfect, but it wasn't written yet. But for that one, it was too late for him. And really, when people read it, they just sort of like that V8 commercial where they knock themselves in the head and they go, man, I wish I could have had a V8. And so I think that's really when people get their eyes open to the truth in any subject, but certainly financial, right up there with anything else. They wish they had had all of the truth, Dave, that you're telling your clients and the folks on the radio each and every week. They wish they had that truth a long time ago because it can work to their advantage.
Boy, Patrick, you know what? It's so consistent with what you said. I, honest to goodness, felt like I was talking to one of my clients while I was listening to you. I can't tell you how many people have told me, Dave, I wish I would have known about this 10 years ago. Or the other one comes up is, I wish I would have known about this back in 2008. And it's an amazingly consistent. What you just said, I've heard, I don't know, hundreds of times at least when I'm talking to my clients. So what do you hope people will get from reading them? I mean, besides this great information, we love your books, but what do you hope they'll get from that?
You know, I'm going to keep this answer really short because I think my primary driver when they read any of my books is that they would get the light bulb turned on. I think most people for so many decades have been fed only part of the truth. And I always tell clients or prospects or people I speak to, I said, what I'm telling you in these books is true and factual, but you don't even have to take my word for it. Now that you know the full truth, go put them to the test. Go look at them. Go dig in a little bit. But I really want them to have truth, full truth, and be able to then evaluate for themselves what is best for their future.
Well, as you know, Patrick, we are big fans of your 3 books, Retirement Miracle, the one that you just talked about, Tax-Free Retirement, and of course, the book we're giving away today, Stress-Free Retirement. Can we expect more books from you in the future?
You know, I haven't been asked that question in a long time. Ironically enough, okay, we're going to make a public service announcement right here on your radio show, Dave, because I have not told this to anybody. So you and your listeners are hearing it literally for the first time outside of a group, a small sphere of individuals. I actually have a new book, but it's sort of a booklet, if you will. I mean, it's a book, but it's a small book that is in production right now called The 5 Retirement Myths. It's actually going to be it's going to be book 1 of a series that I'm going to do called the Retirement Reality Series. And the reason I'm doing this is these books, you know, if folks read them, they're very quick reads. They take about an hour and a half, 2 hours. They're anywhere from 115 to 170 pages, and I think Stress-Free is right in the middle of that. But there's still, you know, some people, what I've found, they're not big readers. So these are going to be small little 30-page books, but have the same truth, the same insights, but be very quick, very to the point, and hopefully pretty life-changing financially for folks without having to take more than about 15 minutes to read it.
Well, I'm glad we were the first to know that, Patrick, and this is awesome. I'm breaking news.
You are breaking news.
Yeah, there we go.
Truly, literally.
Yeah, but you know what's great about this, though, Patrick? I agree with you. We kind of live in this 30-second world. You know, you watch TV, and if you take this pill, you lose 100 pounds in like 30 seconds.
Yep.
And everything we do in this world, we can solve every problem in the world in 30 seconds, at least according to all of the commercials. But the truth of that is that we are all looking for things that are a little bit shorter and quicker. That's an awesome idea. I really appreciate that. So here's one of my favorite ones, and boy, I hear this all the time. Annuities get a bad rap sometimes. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think that's twofold. One is some annuities actually deserve to have a bad rap. I mean, there are annuities from the past that really were very high fee, and actually you could lose money in, and all of these things. So sometimes the old saying that people throw the baby out with the bathwater is they'll say the word annuities. Well, saying annuities is like saying equities or mutual funds. It's such a broad brush. There are good mutual funds and bad mutual funds. There are, good stocks and bad stocks, and there are good annuities and bad annuities. Now, I will tell you, though, there are very few, in my opinion, or there are fewer, I should say, bad annuities today because they are so highly regulated. And the companies have had innovation, really financial innovation come into play. And I know you talk about this on your radio show and some of the things we maybe even talk about today that seem too good to be true, but they really are math and science, not smoke and mirrors. They really do provide folks some incredible opportunity for safety and gains, which I would say we could spend a whole hour on that topic right there. So I'm going to rabbit trail just a minute. Most people think they have to choose. They have to either take safety, which means CD or money market, or gains, which means equity and risk. The reality is the new annuities today, the index annuities that I talk about in stress-free retirement, those particular types of annuities can provide and do provide both safety and an opportunity for gain. And if people take what I said earlier and go and do their own homework and lay that out across everything else that's open to them, I am willing to bet they will not find another strategy that provides more safety with more opportunity to gain than in today's index annuity. So it should not be lumped in. Real quick, one other last thing is that there's just a lot of miseducation, both within consumers as well as financial professionals. They just don't understand how these things really work. And that's part of the reason I wrote the book.
Well, Patrick, it's funny again what you just said, because this is what I tell my clients. I tell them you get the safety of the bank, but you get the growth potential of the stock market. And when you put those two together, I just believe these are the perfect product for today, because I really believe you've got to start with safety in this crazy world economy. Yep. But then you also want to get some growth. And that's exactly where I think we are. And I think it's about time that we go to a break. So I'm going to send this over to Michelle, and she's got a great announcement about giving away your book.
Absolutely. So if you want to get a complimentary copy of Patrick Kelly's book, Stress-Free Retirement, here's what you do. You dial 877-GAINS for you. That's 877, the word GAINS, the number 4, the letter U, and you set up an appointment to meet with Dave. And when you come in for that appointment, you will get a copy of Patrick Kelly's book, Stress-Free Retirement, on Dave. So make sure you go ahead and call 877-GAINS for you. We'll continue our conversation with best-selling author Patrick Kelly on the way next.
This is the Retirement Wealth Planning Radio Show. We'll be right back.